I realized something was wrong before I ever admitted it out loud. It wasn't a specific fight or a harsh word spoken at the wrong moment. It was the silence, that heavy silence that fills the space between two people who once found each other with a single glance. I, Krista, was living beside someone I loved, but who seemed more distant every day, as if he were quietly preparing to leave without warning.
Hold on a second. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Then drop a comment. What would you do next and why?
At first, I tried to pretend it was just a phase. Too much work, exhaustion, routine, and the excuses came easily, almost automatically. But at night, when I turned in bed and felt the emptiness where there had once been conversation, laughter, and plans, I knew it. My relationship was hanging by a thread, and if I did nothing, it would break. Admitting that to myself was frightening, because it meant accepting that I also bore responsibility, that at some point along the way, I had stopped truly listening, stopped showing up, stopped caring the way I once had. The love hadn't ended, it had been neglected, and that realization hurt more than any argument ever could. I decided I didn't want to lose what we had without fighting for it, not out of fear of being alone, but because I still believed in what we had built, and the first step was simple, yet difficult, facing my own mistakes. I stopped running on autopilot and began to observe how I responded, how I reacted, how often I spoke without truly being present. I started with the right kind of silence, not the silence of indifference, but the silence of listening. When he spoke, I didn't interrupt or prepare my defense. I simply listened, and I discovered pains I hadn't noticed, frustrations he had been carrying alone, and for the first time in a long while, he listened to me too. Then came the gestures, small but intentional. A note left for no reason, coffee made the way he liked it, a touch on the arm while passing by, as if to say, I'm still here. They weren't grand declarations, but they were consistent, and I realized that consistency is a powerful form of love. I also had to reclaim who I was before exhaustion and complacency set in. I began taking care of myself again, not to please him, but to recognize myself. And when I started to feel better in my own skin, something shifted in the way I occupied the space beside him. The energy was different, more alive, more real. The hardest conversation came later, the one where I said, with a trembling voice, that I was afraid of losing us, that I wanted to try, but needed to know if he did too. There was silence again, but this time it wasn't empty. It was a silence of decision. And when he finally spoke, he didn't promise perfection. He promised presence. And in that moment, that was enough. Nothing was resolved overnight. There are still difficult days and mistakes. But now there is intention. There is choice. And I learned that loving isn't just about feeling. It's about acting even when pride tells you to pull back. About having the courage to change before it's too late. My relationship is still fragile, yes, but now it's in my hands. And in his too. And every day, I choose not to let go.
If that ending caught you off guard, don't stop here. The next story begins with a message, and nothing is the same after it.